because some people in the world don't even have a conception of God. So, form a conception of God as a person by seeing God within nature. So the form of God within the universe is outlined, the universal form of the Lord. And detachment from the worldly pursuits of life. Following that, and some indication of hearing about the personality of Godhead. Following that, second chapter, Shukadeva Goswami goes further and says one should think of the form of the Lord within the heart, abandoning this other Virat Rupa meditation. Meditate upon the form of the Lord within the heart. And it describes that process of meditation. And accompanying that meditation is, again, detachment from the world. Please note, detachment is a refrain. Third chapter, fourth chapter. Because one can't progress if one holds on to the idea of trying to be an enjoyer in this illusory place. One cannot make spiritual progress. Then accompanying this meditation upon the form of the Lord, the meditation process is supported by the hearing process. And chapter 2 ends with describing actually above this, the fruit of this hearing process is fixing one's mind upon the form of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord, the activities of the Lord. And this is the subject that one should hear and chant and remember always. And in that absorbed state of mind, one should engage fully in activities of service to the Lord. And there is nothing higher than this. I'm very quickly summarizing. Just a lot of very important points are being left out, but summary. Then chapter 3, as we're heading for chapter 4, chapter 3 begins with Shukadeva Goswami saying, "Now I have answered your question." And he repeats the answers. Devotional service, pure devotional service, unmixed with anything else. And one should hear and chant about the topics of the personality of Godhead, Krishna Katha. Then to make it even more clear, he describes other types of worship of various devas and devis, forms of the demigods, and the spiritual energy manifestations for some temporary, limited benediction. One may worship like that. But then, again, he goes to the point of worshipping of the personality of Godhead. By the worship of the personality of Godhead, all that is required will be supplied. But one doesn't need to go with a requisition slip and make the request. Just worship the personality of Godhead exclusively. This is distinguishing it because some persons may not have a clear idea. Okay, worship the Supreme, and there's so many Supremes. The pantheistic idea of so many Supremes. So Shukadeva Goswami makes it very clear. Not pantheism. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. The cause of all causes, the controller of all controllers, the source of everything, the Supreme Person. He should be worshipped exclusively. And he ends. So in one sense, Srimad Bhagavatam could end. Because what's happening here is Sutta Goswami is describing to the sages of Naimisharanya what he heard when Shukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit were speaking. So the sages then say, oh my goodness, what a wonderful thing you just described to us. They describe the glories of Shukadeva Goswami, they describe the glories of Maharaj Parikshit, and then they say, surely with such a qualified person speaking and such a qualified person listening, there must have been more. What did they say? What happened next? What other topics? And they go on glorifying Maharaj Parikshit and glorifying the process of hearing about the topics of the personality of Godhead. They glorify Shukadeva Goswami. This is a carryover of the theme from the first canto, which is, one of the themes of the first canto is, who is the qualified speaker? Who is the qualified listener? What qualities can you look for to understand who is a qualified speaker? Who is a qualified listener? So that ends chapter 3. Again, with many other wonderful points not being highlighted. Chapter 4 begins with Sutta saying, yes, it's true, they're both so qualified. Then he goes on describing how qualified is Shukadeva, how qualified is Maharaj Parikshit. But his qualification is then describing what happened when this qualified speaker and the qualified listener got together. What happened? And it describes the process of transformation of heart, continuing from chapter 3. If one hears and chants, but one's heart doesn't become transformed by that hearing and chanting process to the stage of bhava, where one's hairs stand on end and tears come from the eyes, it has to be understood that this person, his heart is steel framed. So that isn't what happened with Maharaj Parikshit. There's some very specific things. So there's sadhana and sadhya. You know these terms? Sadhana is daily practice. And the fruit of that daily practice is sadhya, the outcome. So, the fruit of devotional service in the heart of Maharaj Parikshit is being described. The first thing that happened, his mind became perfectly concentrated upon the personality of Godhead. The description is, he was already, from the time that he was within the womb, he saw the personality of Godhead. You can't do much better than that. Before you're even born, you see God. By the mercy of Lord Vishnu, he appeared before him in a very difficult circumstance, but nonetheless, he saw the form of the Lord. And, because Maharaj Parikshit was so qualified, he did not, for that matter, he could not forget that experience. Throughout his whole life, he was absorbed in that meditation of that darshan of the Lord, thinking, is he here? Is he here? In each circumstance of life, examining, that's the meaning of his name, Parikshit, he was examining, is he here? Is the Lord here? Searching for contact with the personality of God in every experience of life. So, the key word here is application. He took that which he had received, and he was, by applying that in his life, he was cultivating it very intimately. And because he was the son of the Pandavas, or grandson of the Pandavas, rather, he was always hearing about his grandparents, but which meant he was hearing about Krishna, because Krishna was always in association with the Pandavas. So, further, the impression was being deepened by hearing and hearing it. And so his mind became more cleansed and more absorbed. And then, although he was young man, this calamity came, this curse that he should die. And he took that as an opportunity to go more deeply by the Supreme Lord's arrangement, meeting Shukadeva Goswami. And he took advantage of that opportunity to associate with Shukadeva Goswami by hearing with rapt attention and inquiring in a very eager spirit about such essential things as the real purpose of life. Everybody knows what the purpose of life is. Well, innately everybody knows what the purpose of life is. But in different degrees, that sense is covered. Even for persons, if you press the question button and out comes the answer, the purpose of life is, and they say the purpose of life is to reach God or something like that. Are they living their life that way? So there's difference between intellectual understanding. Of course, one can have a misconception, but having even the proper conception, but then acting according to that conception, applying that conception. Grinanti is the Sanskrit term. Internalizing that message and living with it. So that's what Shukadeva Goswami, his association with Maharaj Parikshit meant for Maharaj Parikshit. His heart, so this is the beginning of chapter 4. Sutta Goswami, because he was there and he has realized the message of the Bhagavatam and realized this whole exchange, his mind became completely focused upon the personality of Godhead without any other shelter. And his consciousness became completely freed as a result from the shelter of all things of this world, including his own body, and then extensions from the body, his house or palace, the paraphernalia of the household, the relations, his kingdom, his treasury, his influence in this world. Prabhupada describes he had everything. He was the king of the whole planet and had everyone accepting him without opposition. All glory is to the king of the planet, Maharaj Parikshit. Fame, wealth, intelligence, piety, strength, everything. He walked away from it without any difficulty because of this very focused concentration upon the personality of Godhead, because of receiving from the Supreme Lord the opportunity to hear about him from Shukadeva Goswami, prior hearing about the Pandavas, prior to that seeing the form of... So he took each opportunity, each gift of descending mercy into his life and drew it close to his heart. With that focus of his attention upon the Supreme, he was able to be detached from all worldly things. And even the activities and the fruits of activities of all types of pious activities, which I've noticed persons have some difficulty understanding, that the realm of devotion, devotional service to the personality of Godhead, is the essence of all theistic conduct. What is the purpose behind the theistic conduct? Most people think, Krishna says in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, most people think the purpose of pious activity is to prosper in this life and enjoy in the next life. Even better. And there's nothing more. Piety is to enjoy nicely, in the mode of goodness, in a theistic way, in a religious way, enjoy, and then enjoy even more. And the idea that there's something more than that is something the mind can't grasp. And so there's this attachment to material pious activities or material fruitive activities. Fruitive activities meaning prescribed activities in the Vedas that bring enjoyment in this life and piety in the next life and upgrade first class the compartment. And there's nothing more. Now, the Bhagavatam is wanting us to understand there's a world of difference between those two things. Devotional service to the personality of Godhead, because He is beyond time and He is beyond the whole material creation. One who engages
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Pause here. Anything devotees would like to share based on today's class? Yes, Sarvari Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, a very, very beautiful lecture. I mean, each and everything of what Maharaj was saying, it was so very nice. What I liked very much is the name meaning of Parikshit Maharaj, which never struck me earlier, that Parikshit is examining and how he had examined each and everything and applied it right from his birth. That was very nice. And also the way Maharaj explained, gave a summary of what each chapter is, how we come from the first canto to the second canto. That was also very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Janakesha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, bro. I like very much what Maharaj was explaining about qualified speaker and qualified listener when they meet together, uh, how they discuss about uh, Krishna Katha. And when Maharaj Parikshit is about to die, what is the uh, things he has to perform during that time? So those explanations from Maharaj I like very much, bro. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Is that Shyam Kund Prabhu, that Bhakta Sangha?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Delalta Prabhu.
It's me, yeah. Prabhu, at one point in time, Maharaj said that Parishit Maharaj, he saw in the womb the Supreme Lord himself, and that he carried in his heart. He remembered for the rest of the life. My question, Prabhu, here that now many of us, or most of us in the call, are practicing devotees. And many times we experience something transcendental. Uh, Maybe it could be while chanting, or it could be while hearing class, while association of the devotees, or experiencing something, the festival. So we experience something, but that experience, at least in my case, it would fade away very soon, like for next 2 days, and it's gone. But here is Maharaj Parikshit. He was able to experience, not only experience, but they carry forward that thing for rest of the life. And sometimes I also feel, okay, the experience which I'm having, I mean, that experience is something wonderful, and why it doesn't last for long? It will just fade away after a few days. And I want it to, be there for quite good number of time, or if it is wonderful for the rest of the life, because then it motivates me. That rasa which I'm enjoying is that motivates me to take the devotional service much into deeper, but it will come and it will go away. So how to retain their experience, how Maharaj Parikshit retained for the rest of their life, is something I would like to hear from the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandat Pranam.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Yeah, similar question what Dhirlal Prabhu was asking. I was also feeling the same, but in a very day-to-day life manner, like whatever Prabhu said, like we will get realization when chanting or doing arti or something, we'll get some kind of spiritual bliss. But right after that, within seconds, the family around us or the problems around us will come and we'll totally forget that, okay, what we have experienced. And we'll uh, remember that experience, but we are unable to carry it forward. What might be the reason for this, Prabhu?
Thank you, Mataji. Reiterating the, restating the question. Okay. So I'll try to answer. Just try to see, like, I think Maharaj, from Maharaj lecture itself, the answer is there. One thing, like he said, is like, when Maharaj was saying, he received the descending mercy and he internalized it. Okay, and he received it and he applied it in his life. That is one key component, I would say, for many of us, that is missing. That is, like, when we perform devotional service, we do it, or I may do it as a ritual, not internalizing it, not having that mindfully doing things mindfully. Here Parikshit Maharaj was saying, at every moment he was trying to identify the person who he saw. He saw Krishna when he was in the womb. When he saw that, and when he like at every moment of his life, he was examining that fact. Okay, is that that person? Is that that person? Are we doing the same thing in our daily activities? Yes, that small figment, or I would say small piece of enthusiasm, or like transcendental happiness which we feel sometimes doing some devotional service, is a reciprocation from Krishna. He's asking us our descending mercy from our spiritual master and our Guru Parampara, encouraging us, telling us this process is real. Do it more mindfully. That's where, like, we just kind of enjoy that moment, live in the moment like a fast food, it, like a instant satisfaction. But after that, that intention or enthusiasm to continue or do things mindfully goes off. Then it becomes more ritualistic, more mechanical. That I would say, like, one of the key reasons that we don't do things in a very mindful way. Like, why am I doing? For what for? All those things are missing. It becomes like a daily chore. Like, I need to do these things. That way, like, we miss the essence. We miss the juice. I would like to open up for other devotees to share. Kumarika Mataji, would you like to share something today?
You said it, Prabhu. When we receive the mercy, we do not internalize it to that extent that Parikshit Maharaj was doing and acting upon it. So we act in the same, we go back to our own same conditioned way of, we carry on. We fall a prey to Maya's attraction, as Mataji said. Immediately our family and attachment, other things come, and we tend to forget what happened. So that is, the application is lacking in us. If we act upon our realization of that transcendental happiness, then definitely it will keep on building up. We will receive more.
Thank you, Mataji. Actually, when the lecture was played today, I didn't feel like pausing it. There's like, it's very happy to hear today. But the important point is how much I can carry forward this for the rest of the day. That's where this key thing comes into picture, like very nicely put forward by Dhiruvada Prabhu and Shamale Mataji. Yeah, so it was very like very happy to hear this today. There's some kind of happiness, but how far it is going to carry forward, that's a great test for me. Yugal Kishore Prabhu, would you like to share anything?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Prabhu. So, first of all, Maharaj, so nicely he's summarizing Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second canto, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and bringing us to the chapter 4 of where a journey of Parikshit Maharaj being mentioned. And that shows that how much he has internalized Srimad Bhagavatam. He was just very fluently going summarizing Srimad Bhagavatam. He loves Srimad Bhagavatam. Maharaj has a appreciation, love for Srimad Bhagavatam. So that was the summary section that he was so happy to share with us, that summary. And if you see that this was not the first time he did. In the previous lecture also, the first 10-15 minutes, same thing. So and at the end of 2.3, 24, 25 and 2.4.1, same thing Maharaj was doing. So he loves that Srimad Bhagavatam. That was the one thing. Second thing, regarding the question that we are as a sadhaka practitioner, sadhana. So there are spontaneous things and we are sadhana. So sadhana means we are by regulated way, we are giving the rules and regulation given by scriptures and Guru Sadhu Shastra. So we are trying to engage our senses and trying to awaken Krishna consciousness, which is dormant within this. So the principle here is that by rules and regulations we are doing. We are not on the platform of spontaneous love for Krishna. And since we are on that platform, we would have these challenges. It's because of millions or many lifetimes and many millions and millions of years since Anadi. There is no beginning. Since then we are in this material world. Our affinity to the material world has become so strong. So now, by the mercy, and in fact we are also so fortunate. Imagine that the descending mercy that coming in our life, had not that be there, why would be there in this morning and discussing and hearing about Krishna Katha? So we, in a way, we are also fortunate. Imagine there are 140 crore people, 1.4 billion. How many of them are getting opportunity? So we are fortunate. So now we are on this path, and it would not happen just overnight or something, that we are spontaneously having love and affection for Krishna. So once we know that, the next question is that Utsaha Nichaya Dhairyat. Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami says that we need to have patience now. So, and what we need to do during that is what Parikshit Maharaj has done. He heard. Now from the childhood he was there. So he did not stop that. He was asking questions about what did my grandfather do. So he's continued to that. And then as you Harisham Prabhu and Kumarika Mataji mentioned that, so there was an absorption, very single pointed absorption, very exclusive love for Krishna, the 4.123, that talks about that how he actually meditated, practiced Krishna consciousness by hearing. And then eventually that he had, and Maharaj said that since he had exclusive attachment for Krishna, he was able to detach from the matter. And so definitely, at least I'm not on that platform. So we have to have on the sadhana. And then that's where we have this regulated way of chanting 16 rounds, regulated way of hearing, regulated way of reading. that will actually help us to do that. So let's not lose the patience and things, and eventually it would happen by the mercy. All we have to do is continue to do that and meditate. That application is what actually I think we, and Kumarika Mataji also mentioned that. So missing point is that application of that, internalizing that message. And second thing is that Dhilalit Prabhu's question about that experience. This so we are here to serve Krishna, and that is our motive. So the experience would actually be the result of that. So we should be focusing on serving Krishna. न धनम न जनम न सुंदरम कवितम जगदीश काम मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतात भक्ति रहित के. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that we would like to serve you janma after janma. I don't want anything else in this life. And we know from Narad Muni, we know from Dhruva Maharaj that giving that kind of experience, Dhruva Maharaj, now you will not get it again. So Narad Muni is not, you will not get it again. So that experience is Krishna's mercy, and it is on Krishna's term that whenever he want to give that experience to us. But our duty is to serve Krishna, and whether he want to give experience or not experience. And since we are on sadhaka practitioner, whatever regulated ways that we have been asked us to do that, engaging our senses, because the definition of sadhana practice in a regulated way, engaging our senses to awaken that love for Krishna. So thank you for, I think that 7:07 I passed. So took a lot of time. Hope that helps. Thank you very much. And of course, I'm personally on the same platform that we all are here, and not that I'm things so, but we have to continue Utsaha Nicha Dhairya, and by the mercy of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, we will able to come to that level where we'll have undeviated, unalloyed, exclusive love for Krishna. And that is very good to have that. All the question actually itself shows that we have strong desire. And one of the qualification to have is to very exclusive love, desire to even develop that. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that when Chaitanya Charitamrita, that even to have that desire itself is very glorious. So because of, and how that desire developed by hearing here, by hearing morning from a great Acharya. So that itself is a very glorious. Let's continue this way, and by the mercy, we will have exclusive love. When? On Krishna's term. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Gita Mataji, like add something. You bring a different perspective. You might have some add today, anything?
Prabhu, you asked me, Reverend.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Prabhu, I think I have the very similar thoughts what Yugal Kishore Prabhu said, and that the moment we are actually hackling for that experience, that means our focus is again going back towards us. Like, it's me who wants to experience. It's me who wants that happiness which I got with that experience. It is definitely a best thing to experience. But then again, I mean, once we surrender to Krishna, it is his decision, it is his command, it is his order. Whatever now it is going to happen in our life, it is he. And if we really, the way everyone said, Kumarika Mataji, and we are not implementing it, we get that experience. In fact, leave about experience, I would say for myself, I would say I get that very hard force within me, that every day I'm listening, every day I'm thinking what I know, what I should do, what is the correct thing. I don't know whether I am alive next moment or not, but I'm planning for my 20, 30 years with those things, with those shelters which are not going to help me if I'm going to leave my body. It's still I'm doing it. I feel astonished on myself. I feel, I mean, how much shameless can anyone be? But I am. I'm doing the same thing. I don't have that much courage, that much trust to move forward. I am not ready to implement it. If I'm not ready to implement it, how can I move forward? I can't move forward. I will be revolving there only, at that place only. Because Krishna is giving hints, giving directions to move forward, but I don't have courage, trust to move forward. So, I mean, I feel I was just thinking about myself that how shameless can someone be? And I was laughing at myself only, Prabhu. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Shyam Kundru, like that.
Few things here, Prabhu. I'd like to address something which Shweta Mataji was speaking about, but maybe I'll go step by step and I'll come in the end to what Shweta Mataji was saying and to what Dil Prabhu also asked. Um, we commonly hear, we know that, or many of us in this call have heard multiple times, that you can never worship the Supreme Lord by himself. The Supreme Lord always has to be worshipped along with his consort, and his consort can never be worshipped just by herself. She has to be worshipped with all her associates. So we see, especially if you go to Mayapur, we would see Srimati Radharani and all these Ashtasakis. And these Ashtasakis want their associates also, and that is why we have the entire Guru Parampara. Everybody comes together in the same way. In a lecture, just this morning that I heard by His Holiness Prabhupada Maharaj, he said, the holy name is the Purusha. The holy name is non-different from the absolute truth. And therefore he is like the Purusha, the object, the subject of worship. And the holy name does not come by itself. It is only when there is Krishna Katha, when there is hearing, or when there is description of the activities of Krishna and his associates, only then the Purusha is pleased. So the Purusha is there along with his energy in one sense, which is the Krishna Katha. So when somebody says that I cannot focus on the holy name sufficiently, it means that we have not heard sufficiently. And then we come to the next step. Why is it that we are unable to hear so many times? Because we do not have enough regard for the speaker. And that's what Maharaj was emphasizing upon, that the foundation of the first canto and second canto is the qualities of the speaker and the qualities of the listener. The listeners should have an open heart to perceive something there. And it is then what Maharaj said, the transformation of heart happens. In other words, and addressing Dhiralitpu's question, to sustain something requires that we keep in our heart, or we keep in the core of our chitta, the conscious mind, or the conscious heart, so to say, the wonderful activities of the great devotees of the Supreme Lord and the wonderful activities of the Supreme Lord himself. It's very important to be absorbed in it. It is that absorption which helps us to take it forward, to go forward. Or saying it a little differently, what stops us from that is definitely, number one, sinful activities. The more the sinful activities that we perform, and the definition of sinful activities becomes more stringent as a person advances. So the more one does such sinful activities, meaning one doesn't consider Krishna in what one is doing, the pleasure of Krishna in what one is doing, it becomes problematic. So, for example, in the beginning stages, eating meat is sinful. Once one stops eating meat, uh, when one comes to the next stage, if one doesn't offer that same food to Krishna, that becomes sinful. If one is offering food to Krishna, it's only not meat as such. Then the next step that comes about is, if one is not honoring the devotees around oneself, that becomes sinful. So in that sense, it is sin in one sense that temporarily blocks. But what we heard of is anarthas. That is a much bigger block. Sin can be counteracted, but anarthas cannot be counteracted. And anartha is that tendency to disregard things and people related to Krishna, the paraphernalia, activities, and the people related to the Supreme Lord. That is what is the fundamental thing in anartha. Having said that, I'm coming to what Shweta Mataji was telling here now. That Mataji was saying, I'm unable to leave many things as such. I would say that is a much later process, or much later step where we are for most of us right now. In fact, there are many things to leave right away. The many things to leave right away is the tendency of the mind to focus on myself, my family, etc. Can we do anything better there? Depending on the extent to which we are having association, we can go take several steps forward in doing something to please Krishna and his associates. So taking out time, that I know there are so many things to do, and I might lose something in life if I don't do one thing, but I'll still take out time to please Krishna and his associates. That's something that we need to do. In other words, a lot of the people or devotees who do end up taking devotional service in their past life have a very strong connect to the process, to the path of impersonalism. And the path of impersonalism emphasizes detachment. In the beginning of the lecture also, Maharaj was speaking about detachment. But from that detachment comes an absorbed state of mind. In other words, if after entering devotional service, we are still focusing on detachment, but not focusing on absorption, we are mostly living with the impressions in the mind that we are having from our previous births, which is just detachment and detachment alone. Don't stop at detachment. Take it to attachment. That's the thing here. So the right thing to rather say is find something, find one person in scripture, or find one great acharya, or find one pastime that keeps you absorbed, and see how you can bring it to this world. For example, um, I'm just telling you, Shweta Mataji, being direct here, you often feel that the next generation needs to do something, and so the next generation needs to get this message, and we all have to do something. So when you spend time, you're a busy mother, you're a working professional, etc. But if you were to take 15 minutes time off in reading something, or in here, like in the morning when we are hearing, making it careful and systematic to see how is it that this can be presented to the next generation, that's something of value. You are taking something which is coming through Krishna and giving it back to people who need it. That's a nice thing there. You take your time out, come what may, you go and string garlands for deities. So you
We lost you, Prabhu. Is it only me or
I think he is not,
Even me also.
he probably dropped out.
okay? Okay.
Let's wait.
చూడలేదు నాను వెనకాల బిల్లు
Mataji, I think Prabhu seems to be done. Okay, he wants us to close the call.
Okay, so we will leave the meeting, right?
Yeah. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.